Hey DOT community, this is Zalon coming at you with Zalon's tips for Throne Wars prep. Welcome, welcome. And this is going to be fairly short. I just have a bunch of tips currently right now that I think the community should be considering doing, because I am definitely doing this in preparation for the coming Throne War beta that will be available to the Legend Leagues. So if this is your first time playing Throne Wars in the Legend League, definitely, or just playing Throne Wars in general, definitely want to make sure you're doing some of these things. Alright, let's get into it. So, it is going to be starting in 2 days and 11 hours. So one of my first things I want to say right off the bat is maxing out your land capacity is numero uno, because lands are going to be what you need to donate to the thrones to contest them. So, with that said, obviously battling for VP and everything else, VP lands don't stick around, but making sure all your gold and food lands are anchored is incredibly important to make sure you can keep them up until that time, as well as not collecting from lands that you know are very close to being finished or finished. So I know some of my bottom lands right here that are surrounding my castle, I'm not going to collect from them because as soon as I do, they will go. And as you can see, the difference between the bobbing and the not bobbing makes a difference to let you know that they're actually going to disappear. So, with that said, I'll prepare all your best defending titans for land for your lands, because the titans obviously always come back after you deploy your lands for Throne Wars. So having the best ones to put out there. So checking to see if that you have all the proper relics on all of them, because a lot of times I know we focus mainly on our main Titan, on our garrison, or on our main attacker and stuff like that, and move relics around. But right now you want to make sure that all your best relics are on all your best fighters, and your best defenders, all your best defenders. Because those are the ones you're going to want to use on your lands when you deploy them for the Throne Wars. My third tip would be to anchor all food and gold lands, because if you lose your VP lands, it will make more room for more anchorable lands. That's what I've been doing over the past couple days. With only a few days left, there's only about 2 days. 2 days, and then of course Throne Wars itself on Tuesday. 2 days worth of lands that I'll be able to get, but really only 4 of them will be anchorable. VP lands obviously right now are not anchorable, so you have to think of it that way. So if you do, besides from stockpiling as much food as possible, if right now, since there's an event going on, if you have a lot of food, maybe you want to do another a refresh on your lands, grab a couple more to try to get as close to max as possible before we start. My fourth tip would be make sure your troops and spells are maxed, which means, for instance, as soon as the timer clicks down to starting of Throne Wars, this is like a last day kind of situation. You want to make sure all your troops are completely maxed up to your capacity, and so as your spells. But also the thing is, with all of that, you also, since there's 2 days, there's 48 hours for your relic storage. What you want to do is, right now I'm collecting a whole bunch of troops and spells and stuff like that in my treasury, which of course will stay for 48 hours. As soon as the timer gets to, right now of course it's 2 days and 11 hours. As soon as that gets to exactly 2 days, any relics that you collect after that will be there when Throne Wars starts. So, if you think about it that way, you can hoard a whole bunch of extra troops and spells in your treasury, because troops are going to be important, because when you deploy them on your lands, they never come back, and it's very important. So if you would like to hoard troops, you can hoard them in your treasury after the 2-day mark in 11 hours begins. All of those troops and spells will be able to be used and stockpiled on the side. And my fifth tip, put your troop warps up on your barracks, of course. So your Panther warps, your Grenadier warps, your Alethan warps, make sure you level them up if you can, if you have any. and make sure that they're all ready on your barracks. Of course, if you want to put archers as well, whatever warps you have for the troops that work best for you, make sure they're leveled up and they're on, because troop warps will make a big difference in how fast you can generate your troops, and that again is another important part of making sure that your lands that you put out actually have a defense on them. Sometimes there may be a point where you're not going to have that many, and you still put as many lands out as you can, but you obviously want to keep your troops and spells up to par, so that they're not easy to take down. And my bonus tip: keep upgrading your troops and make sure all 5 builders are available at the event start. So yes, of course we're using your builders to anchor your lands, but that only takes 4 hours. So other than that, I would highly suggest holding off on any other major upgrades in your kingdom if you're planning on participating in this Throne Wars, because if you are, you want to make sure you have those builders available, because the reason why you're trying to start the event with max lands and then pull the lands you get on Tuesday after you already are maxed. You want to pull those lands on Tuesday so that you have at least another 4 lands to actually use in the event. And you want to be able to at least anchor 2 of them immediately, because you at least can anchor your golden food. Alright, so I hope some of these preparatory tips were helpful, and I wish everybody good luck in their prep for Throne Wars. And I hope to see there's a lot of teams vying to stay in Legends League as well as move up from Masters League. So it's going to be very exciting to see how this all works. And yes, I do have another tips video coming out very shortly for actual tips for the Throne Wars itself, when it actually starts, and what you should be planning on doing as soon as it does so. Alright, thank you DOT community for checking in. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give me a like. It always helps out. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Alright, I will talk to you all again very soon.